Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. It's about 10 after 4 on April 7th, 2014. Another ugly day, but we're going to take a look at it and see if what happened today fits into any of the context that we've been looking at over the weekend and last week. Before we do so, I need to remind you that the website and this video are for educational purposes only. Nothing stated at the site or in the video is intended to be used as investment advice. I can draw lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research and make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. I'm not a licensed financial professional. I'm just a guy who draws lines on charts. So let's take a look. Okay, we're starting out with a 2-minute chart. Usually not what we start out with because we'd like to see a little bit broader perspective on things. But to be honest with you, the decline over the last 2 days has been so steep that if we look at it on a 30-minute chart, we can't really even make much sense out of it because it's just straight down. Okay? So let's go back to the 2-minute chart. Because I think there is some structure to what we have seen over the last 2 days. And basically, even though there's a little bit of a stretch in this, to be frank, but it just started looking like that some of the wilder swings that we saw on Friday and earlier today started to kind of get compressed. And as we reached probably about 1 o'clock this afternoon, I looked at this chart and I said, you know, this line right here makes a lot of sense. This one that I'm highlighting, I can't turn that box off. I wish like everything I could, but I can't. So there you see we've got 1, 2, 3, really 4, 5, 6, 7 tags on that line right there. And then trying to get a corresponding support line. This obviously is resistance. Then this is really all I could come up with in the way of potential support. So I drew this line, and I did not do the little midline thing, but if I did, it would look like that. And you ask yourself the question, does this little middle line look like it's having any significance as we travel down in between these two lines? And I think the answer to that is yes, because we kind of bounce along it, get up over it, bounce up here, go through it, come back to back test it, get under it, and then we came back to it twice. So all of that to say that it appears to me that the last 2 days have been taking place in kind of a wedge shape, despite the fact that it looks like it is an absolute disaster. Now, to be perfectly frank, anytime the S&P gives up 50 points in 2 days, actually, if you look at it, it's less than 2 days, because we started after about an hour on Friday of looking like we wanted to make some new highs, and our low today occurred, what time was it? Doesn't matter, well before the closing. So, interesting to note also that we started potentially the process of bouncing in our 1840 to 1850 range. And again, we go out to the 30-minute chart. You can see that this gray rectangle right here has been a spot that has been support on 1, 2, 3 occasions. And part of the reason why was that it was resistance on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 occasions. So the theory here, or the technical theorem, or the technical analysis tendency that we're relying upon for this, is that resistance, once taken out, tends to convert to support. Now, right now, we've had a target of about 1958 up here, but I think we have to respect the strength of this downward move. And again, I think the idea that until we got a close over 1900, I think we needed to keep an open mind that this could go either way. So once again, we find ourselves between 1840 and 1884, back in that range that we were in for about a month. We're back there, still here, and I just don't know what to tell you. The question is, are we gonna bounce and come back and give it another go? Another thing that's worth pointing out is we had talked about a couple of little descending patterns here that are defined by these blue lines. You can see here and here defined this descending little channel. We broke out, back tested that. Then we formed another descending little channel, broke out of that, and today, if we look really closely, we can see, even though it doesn't line up perfectly, as a matter of fact, these 3 points back here don't line up perfectly, but this looks kind of like a back test. So, guys, all I can say is I think we're right back kind of where we were back in the latter part of March, and that is we're hovering around support. I think we need to bounce down around here. If we fail to bounce in this area, then I see a follow-through move likely to about 1800 before we come to any other trend lines where I would expect a reason for support. Now, I want to kind of emphasize that. We talk about support. When I say support, I'm talking about trend line support. There are times when the markets will move into an area and there are no trend lines, but eventually there's going to be someplace where you find support or resistance. Just like, I mean, how do you chart an IPO? It's on the market. And let's say it's Facebook, and it's been on the market for, say you're trying to make sense out of it after 4 months. You don't know. So it eventually finds support, it eventually finds resistance, but until it does, you're just guessing. Obviously, we have trend lines here that tell us where to expect support and where to expect resistance. But that doesn't mean that something in one of these wide open areas isn't gonna somehow create the same thing. It just does so for a reason that we don't see in the chart. So guys, oops, didn't mean to do that. Let's look at this again. Zoom in a little bit more. Let's do the 3-minute thing. I would say, by the way, I've got this line right here, which is a parallel to our bottom line. If you're looking and you're thinking to yourself, I wish I had some indication about when this downtrend might be over, I would think getting over this line right here would probably be a pretty solid indication that this selling is done. Or at least it is in the process of turning around and heading back up. We're above this wedge. If you think this is a legitimate wedge, we're above it. I also snapped a parallel line to some of these peaks that we saw from about midday Friday, and then we got a little tag right there near the end of the day. I'm just putting down possibilities right now to try to make sense out of what we've seen over the past 2 days. Because again, like I said, you look at it like that, you can't tell anything. You look at it like that, now all of a sudden you start to maybe see some structure. So if we get over this line right here, I think that's a good indication that, yeah, this down leg here over the past 2 days is probably going to reverse back up. So guys, that's your video for April 7th, 2014. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day to watch this, and let's see if we get a little relief from this selling pressure tomorrow. Take care.